Hi everyone, Dwayne here again, joining you for another piano lesson on Tunes over Twiddlybits. Today we're going to start learning how to play Jesus Loves Me with the melody on the piano. You'll recall the last time we explored a number of different options for chord selections when we're just using the three root position chords that I had taught you in order to play a basic accompaniment, which means you will have to sing or hum the melody. We also learned the melody line, just the melody line itself without chords on the piano, which I played in the right hand to test our chord selections against them. I had promised on this occasion that we would start learning how to actually incorporate the melody into the chords that we are playing, so therefore there will no longer be a need to sing or hum the melody whilst we play. So here we go. The first step in playing the melody on the piano is to learn how to move the notes in the three chords that I taught you. So you would have to move the notes around to play what are called inversions of the chords. So let's just jump in and start with that. Now let's start with the C major chord, which you'll remember is spelled C, E, and G. Now, again, focus on the numbers that are stuck on the keys, which are relevant only for the C chord, because again, we're working in the key of C major, and C, of course, is the first note of its own scale. D is 2, etc., as you see it numbered here. So it's very easy, again, for us to find the notes of the C major tonic triad, because that a tonic triad is built of the first note, the third note, and the fifth note of any scale that you're playing in. So the C major tonic triad appropriately is built of the first note C, the third note E, and the fifth note G. Now, please remember that the principle is the same for F and for G, which is why when we found F as the fourth note of C, we have to disregard the numbers, because these numbers only relate to the key of C major. If we're trying to find a tonic triad built on F, we would have to think of F as the first note of its own scale, in which case F would really be 1, and the next note, which we know is A, is actually the third note of the F major scale, and the third note C is actually the fifth note of the F major scale, pardon me. So you'll realize then that a tonic triad is always composed of the first note, the third note, and the fifth note of any scale that you're playing the tonic triad in. Now that is important, because when we're moving chords around to play inversions, we have to focus on the positions of the first note, the third note, and the fifth note. Now let us start with C major, which again is conveniently labeled with numbers for us. The root position C major chord was right in order, with the first note at the bottom, the third note above that, and then on top of that, the fifth note. So from the bottom up, it's built of the first, the third, and the fifth notes of the C major scale. And that we call root position, meaning the root of the chord, that is C, the note from which the scale gets its name, being at the bottom or to the extreme left. Now, what would happen if, having played a root position chord, we move the C from the bottom of the chord, so we lift it up, leaving all the other notes the same, and instead of playing the C down here, we now play the top C, the C 1 octave up. So these notes remain the same E, the same G, but instead of playing middle C, we play the top C. Now listen to how it sounds. So now, if we read from left to right, the order of the notes is the third note, the fifth note, and the first note, which you will see 8 here. But remember that in terms of letter name, the 8th note is the same as the first note. So going forward, you'll hardly hear me talk of the 8th note. I'll just say the first, because the first, again, and the 8th are the same note. So really, think of this C as the first note, but not played down here as middle C, but played up here as the top C. So the order of the notes would then be 3, 5, 1. And 3-5-1 by definition is a first inversion triad. So the tonic triad played in root position. This C chord, when inverted, played in its first inversion. The order of the notes is 3, 5, and then 1 at the top. So it's just a different way of arranging the notes, but it is the same chord. Now, following that principle, lifting up the bottom note and moving it to the top of the chord and leaving the remaining notes the same, we can do that again. So we would take the E from here and play it up here. So now the order of the notes would be 5, 1, and then 3 played up here. 5, 1, 3. And that, by definition, is a second inversion, this is what it sounds like. Now, if we follow that principle, keep on removing the bottom note and playing it at the top. If we move the G again from here and put it up here, leaving the rest the same, we end up with a root position chord again, 1 octave higher. So let's go over this again. We started here, 1, 3, 5, which is the chord, the position that we know, root position. What I did was, instead of playing the C down here, I lifted it up and played the C up here instead, leaving the other notes the same. So then the order of the notes was 3, 5, and then 1 or 8. I prefer 1 in this context. So it's 3, 5, 1. And this is a first inversion of the C triad. Following that principle again, moving the bottom note, playing it at the top, but leaving everything else the same, gives us an order of 5, 1, and 3. And that is a second inversion of the C triad. So, since it is 3 notes in a triad can be presented in any of 3 ways. The way that you know, the most basic position, which is root position, 1, 3, 5, or first inversion, moving the C and playing it at the top, leaving everything else the same. So the order, numerically speaking, would then be 3, 5 with 1 at the top. That's first inversion. And then following through on that principle, moving the bottom note, leaving everything else the same, but then playing the bottom note instead at the top. The same letter name, so from E here to E up here. When we strike that, that is a second inversion of the triad. And if we follow through on the same principle, move the bottom note, put it to the top again, we end up back with root position. Notice, this is where we started. Now we're here. Excuse me. It's the same chord, the same position, root position, just played an octave higher. And we can follow that principle through and do inversions of C straight to the end of the piano. So here we go. Root position, first inversion, second inversion, root position, first inversion, second inversion, root position, first inversion, second inversion, root position, first inversion, and then we run out of notes. To go back down, what we do is the reverse. We take the top note and put at the bottom. So moving this C back down here, we get back to root position. Moving the G and playing it down here, we get second inversion. Moving the A, playing it down here, we get first inversion. Moving the C down here, we get root position again, and we keep going. Move the G down here, second inversion. Move the E down here, first inversion. Move the C down here, back to root position, and so on. G goes down, second inversion. E goes down, first inversion. C goes down, back to root position. So we can actually do it throughout the piano. And I'll start with my left hand right at the bottom here, and I will call each position as I play it. Then when I get to middle C, I'll take over with my right hand. So here we go. Root position, first inversion. I know this sounds horrible, but please bear with me. Second inversion, root position, first inversion, 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 second inversion, root position, first inversion. first inversion, root position, second inversion, 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 first inversion, root position, and then we run out of notes. So there it is, the three different positions in which you can play a C triad, regardless of the position that you choose, or the inversion that you choose. Well, I should say position because root position isn't an inversion, but it is a position. So you can have root position or either of the inversions. All three together are the three different positions in which you can play a C major triad. Now that principle applies equally to the F major tonic triad and the G major tonic triad. So same principle. We knew the G triad to be G, B, D. Here it is. And as I said, for this exercise, please don't ignore the numbers. Think of the G inversion and think of G as 1. It's the first note of the scale that is named after it. B is the third note and the D is the fifth note, because a tonic triad by definition is built of the first note, the third note, and the fifth note of whatever scale you're in. And even though we are using the G triad in the context of C, it is first and foremost a tonic triad of its own scale. So in a sense, C is borrowing the G major tonic triad from the scale of G major for the purpose of playing functionally in the key of C major. Now, I hope that isn't too complicated, but it's actually a pretty simple concept. If you go back to the fact that when we look at this pattern at the configuration of notes, if you recall that we can play a major scale starting on any of these 12 notes, then you will recognize that there is a major scale starting on G just as there is a major scale starting on C. And any major scale is named after the first note of it. So the C major scale has C as its first note. Likewise, the G major scale would have G as its first note, in which case G would be 1, B would be its third note, and D would be its fifth note. So here it is, G, 1, 3, 5. The inversion says move the bottom note, the first note, and play it at the top, leaving everything else the same. So the B and the D would remain where they are, but the G would be moved from here and placed up here. So now we have this, which is first inversion of the G triad. Then following the same principle, moving the bottom note, which is in this instance is B, leaving everything else the same but moving the B up here, we have an order now that says the fifth note, the first note, and the third note on top. And this is your second inversion. If we follow through on the principle, move the bottom note, which now is D, leave everything else the same but play the D up here, we end up with a G root position 1 octave higher. So we started here, now we are here. Same root position 1 octave higher. So it's just an exercise in constantly moving the bottom note, the note to the extreme left, whatever it may be, and moving it 1 octave higher, leaving all the other notes in the chord the same, or in the position the same. And we end up with that inversion of the chord. So here we are again now, with first inversion of the G triad, with the third note B at the bottom, the fifth note D in the middle, and the first note or the root at the top, which is G. So it's now spelled B, D, G. That's first inversion. Then we move the bottom note, the B, leave everything else the same, and put the B at the top. Now we have a second inversion because it is the fifth note at the bottom, the first note G in the middle, and the third note B at the top. That's our second inversion, and we just keep going. Keep moving the bottom note and playing it putting it at the top, leaving everything else the same. Back to root position. Move the G, first inversion. Move the B, second inversion, and we can keep going down. We can now descend. So take the top note, put at the bottom, and we come back down. Keep doing that. First inversion, root position. Second inversion, first inversion, root position. Second inversion, first inversion, root position. I will stop here because as you see, if I go further down, the sounds will get very muddy. but the principle remains the same. Because remember, the pattern keeps repeating. So you just keep doing the same thing. You can move from this end of the keyboard all the way down here, and you'll be playing the same chord, just at different octaves in the various different positions. And of course, the same thing applies for F. Think of F, remember our F chord is FAC. Think of F as the first note of its own scale, A as the third note, and C as the fifth note. So here we go. This is root position. Move the F to the top, first inversion. Move the A to the top, second inversion. Move the C to the top, back to root position an octave higher. Move the F to the top, first inversion again. The A to the top, leaving everything else the same, second inversion. Move the C to the top, root position again. Now 2 octaves higher from where we started. This was 1 octave root position, the next octave up. Now we are here. 2 octaves above where we started. Root position again. See? F, A, C. Then we carry on. Move this F, put it at the top, leave everything else the same. Back to first inversion. Move the A, put it at the top. Second inversion again. And we have space for 1 more inversion. So we can move this C, play it at the top, and here we are. Root position again, right at the very end of the piano. And we can come back down. Now we just take the top note and put at the bottom. So here we go. Root position, second inversion, first inversion. Root position, second inversion, first inversion. Root position, second inversion, first inversion, back to root position. Now, in order for you to be able to play Jesus Loves Me with your melody, harmonizing your melody, you will need to master these 3 positions of each chord. So essentially what you need are 9 different chord positions in order to be able to play Jesus Loves Me with your melody incorporated. Just 9 positions, 3 positions for each of the 3 chords. So for C, let's quick review before we end. Root position C, moving the C to the top, first inversion C, then moving the E to the top, leaving everything else the same. Second inversion C, so these are the 3 positions. Root position 1 3 5, first inversion 3 5 1, and now second inversion 5 1 3. So these are the 3 positions for the C chord. For the F chord, we go to what we start again with root position, which is what we know, FAC. Moving the F to the top, leaving everything else the same, we have first inversion. So this is our second position. And then moving the A to the top, leaving everything else the same, we have the C at the bottom, the F in the middle, and the A at the top. So this is second inversion. So the 3 positions for the F chord are root position, first inversion, second inversion. And then for G, it's the same thing. We knew it as GBD. This is root position, move the G to the top, play everything, leave everything else the same. This is now first inversion G. And then we move the B to the top, leave everything else the same, and we have second inversion G. D, G, B. So here we go. One more recap before we end this lesson. 9 chord positions. Each chord can be presented in 3 ways, and you need to be comfortable with playing the 3 ways of each chord, which means you need to master 9 chord positions in order to be able to play Jesus Loves Me with the melody incorporated. So once more, it is C in root position, C first inversion, C second inversion. Those are the 3 positions for the C chord. For F, it is root position, which is what we know. Then moving the F to the top, leaving everything else the same, first inversion. Moving the A to the top, leaving everything else the same, second inversion. Those are the 3 positions for the F chord. And for the G chord, here we go. GBD, or root position. Move the G to the top, leave everything else the same, first inversion. Move the B to the top, leave everything else the same, second inversion. And those are the 3 positions of the G chord. So please practice those inversions, those different positions. Try to become comfortable with all 9 of them. And when we start the next lesson, we'll immediately start to play Jesus Loves Me with the melody incorporated. Thanks for joining me. And If these videos are helping you, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you next time. Take care and bye-bye.